of the city's 68 public schools.
5 on your side's Holden Kerwicki joins us live outside of SLPS headquarters with reaction to the proposal from the teachers union. Holden.
Well, Mike and Ann, it was just last week that the head of the American Federation of Teachers actually called out SLPS leadership for keeping them in the dark about possible consolidation plans. Well, this latest plan appears to be aimed at saving the district money. According to union president Ray Cummings, it simply doesn't make sense.
It's hot on a lot of educators' minds. It's hot on like a lot of public school students' mind. I think May 16th, St. Louis had a tornado that, ripped through the Central West End, ripped through parts of Clayton, ripped through Forest Park, North St. Louis. And now the St. Louis public schools are kind of in like disarray. So just going back to what you've been hearing, because again, you work for St. Louis Public Schools. So kind of just talk about, if you can, talk about some of the things that's kind of going on without getting into like, any type of sticky situations that you can protect yourself on.
I just heard on the news that I think they said they're talking about for 20, what did it be? 25, 20, no, this is 25, 26, right? So 26, 27. I'm about closing 37 schools in the St. Louis Public School District. And I'm like, ooh, that's something. 37? I didn't realize it was that many schools, open to be, let alone to be closing. That's big, man. But that's kind of where we at though, man. The city is empty. Let's face it, man. They talk about the crime and the this and the that, but it's empty right now. In comparison to what it has been and what it used, it's empty. So this is something that I guess that had to happen. So it's time. The tornado kind of sped it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say that. So and I just did a quick little search. So it says a recent report just talked about. I'm sure if I can pull it. It says, man, this is crazy. They're talking about closing 37 out of 68 schools.
Mm-hmm.
It said a recent report recommends shutting down 37 out of 68 school buildings ahead of the 26-27 academic school year, over half the district, primarily due to ongoing declines in enrollment and skyrocketing maintenance costs. So that's what they kind of giving out on the surface level. All right. Enrollment, which kind of already touched on that. Nobody living in the city.
Right.
And the maintenance costs. You got too many buildings that are just sitting. You got to pay a light bill, gas bill, water bill, house people that are in there. Something goes wrong. You got to fix it. And it just becoming, it's being bloated.
You got a lot of big buildings that, let's say, like can hold 700 to 800 kids, got 150 kids, can't maintain that. Can't do that. It's just time. It's time.
Yeah. And then too, is one of those things where, I've been a firm person on that. St. Louis Public Schools has too many schools. You got too many schools to begin with. I look at the high schools, and I'm speaking from the high school standpoint. It's too many schools, and you kind of hit on it. Big old buildings that schools were meant to last 100 years, test of time. And then we get to a point now where we got these big castles, these big buildings that were made to house 2,000 students, only with 150 kids in there. So the district just has too many schools. A lot of these alumni-based schools refuse to let these schools close. The Sumners, the Vashons, all of those. I was talking to somebody the other day. Sumner and Vashon, they just need to make a museum out of those.
Right.
Those need to just be museums. You get some type of federal money to just, break it up and say, all right, this is where Tina Turner went to school. This is where Red Fox went to school. This is where, and you just preserve it and you keep it as like a capsule in the community. But to have kids trying to go to school there is a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face to one, as far as the education. And then a lot of these schools still have running athletic programs. Right. So now you got running athletic programs on top of the expense that it costs to run the school. And you steady throwing money into these programs that is like, and no disrespect to those schools, but at the same token, St. Louis Public need to have one school representing them, get the best of the best. And we have freshman team, JV team, varsity team, 30 players from all of the best schools, north, south, probably a north side school, west side school, south side school. Give me your best athletes.
You saying public schools in the city? So I'm picturing this in my head, because right now you got Vashon and Roosevelt, I think, that are really the two open enrollment schools where, you could just, it's just we have in school. It ain't no type of special programming or, because I think like Sumner has some type of special program in there. I don't think it was just a regular.
But that's my point. All of the schools need to have a special program. You know what I mean? Like why
outside of with the magnet program? You got the magnet schools.
But even what I'm saying, even with the magnet schools, it needs to be whatever they doing at the magnet schools. Put that in a Vashon. Put that in a Sumner. Put that in a. It shouldn't be a situation where a kid leaves one school and goes to another school and the curriculum don't align. What are we doing? This is one district. Math 101 should be the same at all of the schools.
I agree.
English lit should be the same at all of the schools. Now the question needs to be, all right, at what pace are you teaching it at this school? At what pace are you teaching it at this school? So if I leave a Vashon and I end up at a Roosevelt, all I need to just know is we stopped off on chapter 3 when I left Vashon. Now when I'm at Roosevelt, we're on chapter 6. It shouldn't be broke up to where we're on a whole nother book at this school. We got a whole nother program at this school. Like it shouldn't be like that. And I think, the people that in charge, and, I got a couple friends that, that are heavily involved in the school district, that's on the board, that's around. And it's just kind of like, if you in it, it's hard to make sense of it. And a lot of it is just common sense. I mean, not to get all, off topic and being political with it, but it's sad that it's going this route for the city schools, the city students. And to piggyback on that, pretty much the only thing people are concerned about is these damn youth sports. Everybody think their son is going to go to the NFL, to the NBA. And it used to be a time where we used to value education. I come from a generation where, man, I didn't want to be the dumbest guy in class. If you didn't turn your homework in, you stood out like a sore thumb because you didn't get it done the night before. I never wanted to be that person. And I know it was so many different families that pretty much held it down the same way. Like, nah, if nothing else, we educating you here in this household. Hold on one second, Pat. Hold on. All right. So like I'm saying, just that a lot of these parents and a lot of the fuss is over nonsense. And I think a lot of time the fuss is over stuff that we spend too much time wanting other people to educate our kids and trying to hold people accountable for the things that's whether that goes right or goes wrong with your kid, as opposed to looking yourself in the mirror, putting the onus on yourself first and foremost. When my son or anybody in my family, when you walk out of the house, you should already been taught how to do things to where when you get to school, you basically, it's about respect. You respect that person that's spending the majority of their time with you. And that's really not the case now. It's that first and foremost, it's about, you worrying about what you can do for me. And I think we come from a generation and we've lost a lot, just trying to enforce or reinforce all of the wrong things in our kids, and then our kids pick up on that stuff easy, and now they're forced to deal with or being in a position where they're dealing with grown folk stuff as opposed to just still being a kid. It was a time where being around my grandparents, being around an adults, they would never let you in grown folks' conversations. And now these kids they in the forefront of the conversation. And then you got parents that want to be the friends just as much as they best friend. They trying to be just as much as friendly, buddy with their kids. And it's just, it's kind of messed up and it's kind of sad. So go ahead.
It's a bigger problem. I used to always tell people long ago, the internet is too much. It's too much for people. I mean, everybody want their freedom to do this and freedom to do that, but certain things, we always talk about parental guidance and all that's gone, and like you saying, you used to get your baseline from home, how to act, how to respect people, but now that's over. There ain't no baseline anymore. So like you say, kids are picking up what they pick up, like you say, grown folks conversation. They are the conversation, on this internet thing, man, it's wide open. I don't care how old you are, so and now, and it amazes me. I sit up and I watch all the things on TV they talking about the phones in school. That's the biggest joke in the world to me. I mean, we sit up here arguing about should the kids have, let the kids have. That's a parental thing.
Right.
Ain't one kid pay a phone bill. Ain't one kid out here. You might have some instances, but for the most part, you ain't even old enough to have a phone bill. And parents and then you get the blowback at, well, I want my kids to be able to get in touch with me. And, that's where you have to trust the school to do whatever they need to do. I've been in situations where we've had we've had second and third graders go in the bathroom and call a parent and say, the teacher is doing woo, woo, woo. And the parent come blow back talking about, why is this happening and why is that? And I'm like, come on. So, I mean, it got to be a change. It got to be a major change in the way if anything is gonna change, which I don't foresee happening. But it is what it is. Something I thought about though, man. And just tell me what you think about this. To solve the phone issue, as far as school parents want to know what's going on with their kids, I wouldn't be against putting cameras in the classroom. Camera in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? Because a parent is quick to say, little Timmy didn't do this. Little Timmy didn't do that. When the teacher come back, you could she could see on her phone what little Timmy is doing in the classroom. And that's on all levels, from preschool all the way up through high school. I mean, where we hide?